Welcome, everybody, to Real Truth Call tonight. It's about, I think, 9:06 p.m. Friday, May 11th, 2018. And also, I heard Dr. WC talking about, we also have a website, which is global8000meditation.org. global8000meditation.org. And you can go there. One of our sisters has volunteered time to put that website together, and it's much appreciated. And that has access calls from international calls that you can call the meditation line, and other information on there that she puts up to help people navigate and get information. So once again, it is global8000meditation.org. So one thing I'd like to bring up, and it's there's pros and cons and different people communicating and discussing and experiencing, but when you have computers can be controlled. They can be hacked. Anything controlled by computers can be hacked, period. I mean, even NSA's database can be hacked as highly technical and advanced as the line of code and programming is for any secured bit of data or information. And it befuddles me that people get so carried away and they don't think. We keep making the same mistakes over and over again in this life. So if you look at that, and I think most of the people on this call can understand that it's hackable. And when you look at a different monetary system for the planet, now understand that our monetary system has to be gone. Every bit of every monetary system has to be eliminated eventually, because the human race is moving away from money, and I mean completely. Digital money, everything, all of it, gone, never needed again. And I reaffirm the fact that the only way to do that is to flood the human race with wealth, so that it's not an issue anymore. It's not a big deal that someone's got a lot of money. And that way the humanity begins to pull away from it, because it's not a draw anymore. So-and-so down the street, blah, 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 so what, big deal. All right? Having things, not a big deal anymore. Ego starts taking a vacation or permanent leave of absence because of the fact that it's not a big deal. Everybody has a nice place to live. Everybody has plenty of clean, healthy food. Everybody has clothes to wear. They are in harmony with the environment, and they are in harmony with each other. And that's the area where I would wish that humanity would start thinking, rather than greed and capitalism and consumption and buy, get stuff, get more stuff, buy more stuff, and then, well, I don't have any more room to put my stuff. Well, I got to make a bigger place so I can put more stuff in the place, so I can have more stuff and more stuff and more stuff and buy. Now, not everybody's like that, and minimalism, I think, is a growing thing where people just don't believe that having things makes you really happy, that the happiness comes from within, and being content with not a lot of things, not having a lot. And I've experienced the fact of not having a lot, and you feel lighter. You're not as burdened down. You're not as heavied, weighted down. So when you look at this, and there's a reason for it. When you look at the cryptocurrency and how it keeps, showing itself, and spreading and how wonderful it is, and the blockchain technology and the wallet, and how secure and safe it is, and it's going to be backed by gold and silver and so on and so forth. The only way that you can control your wealth safely is when you can hold it. That's a proven fact. If you cannot hold your wealth physically, you can't control it. That's why so many banks have gotten away with sheer robbery for generations, because you digitally put your money in a bank. The bank uses it repeatedly. And they want you to keep your money in that bank as much as possible so they can use it as long as possible. And while your money's in that bank, they charge you all kinds of fees and process charges and everything, which are ludicrous. But out of fear and becoming, in a habit type of format where it's a habit of putting the money in the bank and I got to pay those fees because that's what it costs to keep my money in the bank. Imagine not having to be charged much at all for keeping your money in the bank at all. Imagine trusting the bank. Imagine being able to trust the bank. Now, if you remember right, years ago in this country, people used to keep their money after the Great Depression at home. They'd stuff it in their pillowcases, mattresses, secret hidden places in their homes that they would stash it away. And they would have it, and they would always have it. So they knew that if anything ever happened, they had money, they had cash. Now, here in the United States, average checking account, I think, is like $2,800, something like that. And if you all of a sudden, everything was digital, and you had no cash, and you got in the habit because everybody else was doing it, and it's becoming the norm, and it's the safest way to go, and it's the most secure way to go without having banks involved or anything else, right? And so you get used to that. So you get out of the habit of having cash, and you just don't carry it. You don't have cash on you. You don't have it, and all you do is you got a little digital card, and you do your cryptocurrency, and you purchase things and so on. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. It's easy. You don't have to hardly lift a finger. It's safe. It's secure. And then bang, it's hacked. And it could be hundreds of millions or billions of dollars that all of a sudden vaporize and are gone. It's just digitally hacked. You can't do anything about it. You'll never see it again. Now, that's not advertised. This is being glorified across the board, that it's the next thing in the monetary system. It's the way we're going to go, whether you like it or not, and cram it down the people's throat, of course, and then do the herd mentality where you convince everybody to do it so that everybody else follows that. Follow the herd. Everybody does it. But it's important to be clear and understand that anything that's run by computer can be hacked. Money can be stolen. People say, what about a bank account? Bank accounts can be hacked, but not as easily as cryptocurrency, which is being generated off of computer programming, data. That's where it's created. So when you and it's really nothing unless you can hold it in your hand and go in and say, I want to purchase this for this, then you don't own it, period. Most banks, when you put your money in the bank, in most cases, unless you're very educated on banking and the different accounts that you can open and which ones you can control and they can't. But for the most part, people put their money in the bank, and the bank believes that money's theirs, that it's no longer the person putting the money in the bank. As soon as you deposit that money, the bank looks at it as theirs, trades it, uses it. If you look at one car loan, let's just say $10,000 or a $9,000 car loan. That same car loan is shopped out 9 more times. And now the bank is using that same loan 9 times. That's $90,000, $100,000. making interest payments off of all of that. Just like they do of 30% interest off of your credit cards. Think about that, using your own money. So something's got to shift, and it's being knowledgeable and looking at things practically and sensibly and saying, does this make any sense? Do I want something that is going to keep me thinking where, just like they do today on the smartphones, where you're doing online banking and someone comes in and takes all your money? It's happening every day in this country. They just don't publicize it. They don't want people to know about it because they don't want people to get off of those apps that they use for the banking industry on transferring monies. Yes, it's handy, it's convenient and everything. It keeps people out of the banks, and that's what they want. They want people to stay out of the banks, and then they can monitor everything. So when you hear and you're going to hear more about it, you're going to hear more about cryptocurrency, and it's the best thing since sliced bread, and it's safe, and it keeps the banks out of your money, and it's wonderful and everything. Now, for instance, what can actually happen is that an authority that everybody thinks is an authority says, we have cryptocurrency, but you have to use ours if you want your cryptocurrency to be spendable. Right? And we will exchange it for whatever your cryptocurrency is. Use our cryptocurrency. They can do that really good. There's not enough people using it, so it's not the right timing. But if they can steal that industry, then they completely control it. Look how easy that would be. You imagine having Big Brother control your wealth from start to finish. Every single thing you do. You have literally no privacy, which is being, basically drained away as we speak. You have no protection, and you're just laying out there bare naked, being abused, and with no recourse whatsoever. And that's, unfortunately, not being aware of it in a lot of cases, just not being aware of it. So physical gold and silver actually representing something. The only reason we use paper for the new gold system is because gold and silver are heavy, so it's carried around isn't really practical, but to have paper money. Look at the if you remember the ease and how nice it was to walk into someplace and just hand cash for it. That'll be $22.50. Boom. You got it. It's done. No debt. Transacted. Period. And value, when you have a piece of paper that is actually backed by hard asset, not by something whipped up in the wind or something off a computer, but hard asset that you can actually stack and keep and hold and save. You don't even have to put it in the bank if you don't want to. And it's mobile. You can take it anywhere you want with you. Period. You go to if you do put it in the bank, and this is kind of the picture that I'm painting, as opposed to having a little plastic card that has all of your data and information on it and knows everything about you, your fingerprints, your facial print, and everything, and you can't walk without them knowing about it. You can't talk without them knowing about it. So the point is to move away from that, is to gravitate towards freedom and free movement and fluidity, where they're not able to do that. When you make a purchase with cash, think about the anonymity. They don't want that, see? That's what they don't want. They don't want you to have anonymity. And anonymity means that you got cash, you go buy anything you want. No one's keeping track of it because they don't know who you are. You're not using a card. You can see how they have literally sucked the public through the years into this process. Gradualization is how they train the masses with the programs they want the masses to use so that they can control them A to Z. And that's how they do it. So you do it such a little bit at a time that you really don't, it doesn't bother you. It's not a big deal. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bite here, a little bite there. No big deal. It's just fine. And so you don't raise any, you don't raise any hell about it or anything, and you're just kind of saying, okay, that's fine. But imagine when you have cash money and you buy something, no one can track you. That's it. Not yet, anyway. But when you trade your privacy for convenience, you trade everything for convenience, they got you. Oh, look at this new tech. This scans your face, scans your body, scans your fingerprints, scans everything. Takes a picture of your face, retinal scan. I mean, think about all this. This stuff is here now, today. It is absolutely here, functioning in many parts of the world right now, today. Now, when you think, do you really want a life where everything is controlled for you? You make no decisions. They're all made for you. You're told what to do, when to do it, and how fast and how often, period. Morning, noon, and night. You have no privacy. Everything's being watched. Everything's being followed, valued, the whole 9 yards. I mean, and if you look right now, and if you could debate that and say, well, no, just take a look around you. See what is transpiring. See what is happening. And all it takes is enough humans to say, we aren't going to do this anymore. We're going to have a gold-backed currency. We're going to have cash society where if we want to pay cash, we can. And if you want to use like a debit card type thing to be more convenient, fine. But as long as it doesn't have a chip in it and keeps track of everything you do. Do you want to be kept track of on everything you do for the rest of your life? Do you want no privacy whatsoever? Because that's the life they're trying to slam down the throats of humanity. Period. To know everything and anything all the time, 24/7, without a break whatsoever. And that's why you don't hear as much as you would think about gold-backed currency system. You hear more about all the billions people can make off of cryptocurrency. Again, greed. Number one factor to attract the masses is how much can I make? You can make millions and millions of dollars. Get in on the bottom floor and you'll be absolutely wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. Until it's taken, until it's gone. You imagine that you do something, okay, and the social structure has been set up and engineered where all of your wealth is taken away because you did something or they didn't like this or they didn't like that. That'll come unless we understand and we start realizing that we want privacy. We want to have our own lives, you know. We want peace. We want prosperity. But in our terms, not being dictated to us and not have a bunch of corrupt bankers constantly dictating the monetary system to you, but you saying, this is what makes sense to us. This gives us freedom. It gives us prosperity, gives us ease of mind, gives us flexibility. We should be dictating the monetary system of our planet is the point I'm making. We should be dictating the monetary system of this planet, not a bunch of old, crusty bankers hidden from the public eye, families hidden from the public eye, in the backgrounds and in the shadows, manipulating, lying, thieving, and cheating for their own gain and benefit over the disruption of the rest of humanity, and pain and war and conflict and sorrow and anguish. This slavery, ending slavery, it's part of ending financial slavery. You know, we talk about being set free. That's part of it. And having the fortitude to act upon it and to make choices and decisions based upon information that you research and look at and say, okay, what makes sense to me? What can I control? Here's a question for you. What can you control and hold in your hand and actually use without being identified? And what can you not? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Cryptocurrency, you're identified constantly. You have to be. Right? Whether it's through the banks or through some cryptocurrency portal, wallet, blockchain. So financially, do you want to be free? Do you want to have your own flexibility? And do you want to dictate the terms? Or do you want it the way it's always been, that's running this planet into the ground and polluting and destroying everything? You want it the way it is, but even more stringent, even more controlling, even more dictatorial? It's interesting. The flip side, on a totally different subject, we've had, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of Cobra putting out the information about being contacted by the Agarthans. And some of the surface population will be contacted by plainclothes people that will approach them out of the clear blue and talk with them and give them 5 to 15 minutes to determine if they want to go. And if they want to go, they've got, they'll have a bag, and they'll have about, 10 or 15 minutes to put a few of their belongings in the bag, and then they will not any longer have surface contact with their loved ones or anybody. That's a lot. That's a lot to decide in a short period of time. That's why it'll be people that are in a higher vibrational frequency, which means they've moved into a higher vibrational frequency and they don't have any fear. A lot of people will have fear and decline. And basically it's the beginning of the integration of Agarthans, who are basically our relatives, and to start interacting and working together. And that, what that signifies is, it says how close we are to basically, as Cobra says it on his site, the breakthrough, compression breakthrough. And is that a believable scenario? Yeah, and then you get the negative thought process. We're thinking that, well, maybe they're all bad and they're going to imprison us and they're going to enslave us, and we're already enslaved, so you can't be enslaved twice. But if they wanted to do that, they could have done that a long time ago. But you have to be clear-minded, clear-hearted, and ready to make that commitment. And there's a lot of people that have close contacts with their family members, close contacts, they're married, they have children. So you can understand it's only going to be a select group of people that seem to be much more flexible and are able to make that transition a lot easier on themselves because of the connections they have on the surface of the planet. So you just got to think about that. You could be in a grocery store and be approached as you're going out the door. Someone, which I have been approached before by other non-humans. Just, you're walking out in the parking lot and someone comes up to you and wants to, hey, I overheard you talking about this and that, and then they start talking with you. And it's a good thing for people to start thinking about the fact and connecting with your higher self and determining if that's something you can do in the event that you may be approached, because you never know. So you may not think you're vibrationally as advanced as you are, and you might get approached, because that's underway, and that will be happening across the planet. So it's something for you to think about in advance rather than at the last minute, because you aren't going to have a lot of time. And if you're asked that you have to totally disconnect with the surface population, all your family and friends and relatives, everything, you got to determine if you're going to be able to make that commitment. So you should probably get it out of the way now, and whether you're approached or not, but just to know that you have it out of the way. And a lot of times they'll contact you telepathically in between dream state, partial dream, and non-dream. So you might be contacted by that way, but in person most likely. And then, and taking a trip down a dark hole in a cellar or a basement of a building, you really have to be balanced with yourself and have confidence in that being that has asked you if you would like to go to Argartha, to Hollow Earth. and join them and help with the transition of planet Earth. So it's something to think about, to be to be aware of it ahead of time rather than to have to decide. And I would give it thought whenever you can to determine, could I honestly leave everything behind pretty much? My belongings, I could only take some heirlooms, some pictures, and a couple of keepsakes, and that's about it. My clothes will be disintegrated. I'll have a whole different life. I won't be able to communicate with the surface population. And then some people say, well, why is that? Why won't I be able to do that? That almost sounds like they're going to put me in some kind of holding cell. There's different things that people's minds are going to come up with, and some of it's going to be negative, questioning, wondering. Something doesn't sound right with this. Something doesn't come together too right. Why can't I have contact with the surface population? Now, if you'll know through history, there have been people who have gone to inner Earth and never heard from again because they like that social structure so much better than what we have on the surface, because you have no war, no disease, no aging, no conflict. You've got peace and prosperity. They don't use money. They don't have banks. They don't have greed and capitalization. So, it's a whole different society, and I'm looking forward for humanity to start experiencing that type of life, of living. All these burdens and all of this goop cleared away so that humanity can live and be happy and love and be lighthearted and just have a blissful existence rather than stress and pressure and anger and frustration and fear of dying, fear of living, a constant process that we all are inundated with at one time or another on this planet. And after thousands of years, it gets old. And some beings look at thousands of years as a drop in the bucket because time is just an idea. So it's just something to think about. It's what I've been communicated to about the fact that think about this. Take it for yourself and see how it vibrates with you. And then, answer those questions. Because imagine when if you are, because I'm not saying that, it's not everybody's going to be contacted, but if you are, you'll be ready when you're confronted with those questions. Can you? Can you leave everything behind? And basically, not knowing what you're facing. I mean, you'll be, your body will be cleansed. Any nanites that you may have from the chemtrails, because we all do, because they've been spraying us with them, and detoxification process and cleansing the body and healing the body from sicknesses and diseases and everything. For the most part, they'll be able to do all that. You'll be cleansed and detoxed and happy and healthy, and assist them with the transition of the direction of humanity from self-destruction to flourishing, advancing, and interacting with the social structure in Agartha, because that's the end goal, is where humanity interacts with the surface populations interacting with the inner Earth population. And it's no big deal anymore. It's normal, respecting one another, and humanity's gotten to the point where it's not self-destructive and it's not combative and it's not vile and destructive and polluting and disrespect for the planet and each other. And by learning from the Agarthans, we can accelerate that a lot quicker because we can see the results and their social structure compared to ours. And there's really no comparison. And we, as a civilization, have got to change. That's what existence is all about, change. We've got to finally give up combat and war and destruction, self-abuse, greed, selfishness, deception, all of these things, and go into a direction of loving and caring for all, for everybody, for each other. When you want something good for yourself, you want it good for everyone. Everyone. I want the entire human race to be wealthy. I want them to all be healthy. I want them not to have diseases and sicknesses, all removed, gone forever, never to worry about that. And when humanity is lifted of those burdens, those actually created, I mean, that stuff's been created over the centuries on humanity, like humanity is a test tube, a petri dish that's being experimented on constantly. We've been experimented with so many things that it's just mind-boggling. Different diseases, different viruses. I mean, let's see how this affects them. Let's see how that affects them. Genetic manipulation. I mean, constant gene splicing and manipulation in the air, in injections, different applications that people are totally oblivious to. And being herded. See, they know that humanity has a herd mentality, so if they get them all believing one thing, they're going to go in that direction. It's like, and they use that over and over again. It never stops. It's the same application. Use it over and over and over and over again. But that's not enough, see, because then they want to be able to control your mind. They want to be able to push a button and make you do things that you wouldn't normally do, and you thinking that you're doing that on your own and making your own decisions. So we have a lot of cleaning up to do. Interacting with the Agarthans, it has my vote. I think it'd be phenomenal to interact with another species of humanoids that are highly advanced, that have been around for many, many years. We are like babes in the woods compared to them. Learn their philosophies, how they view life, what their spiritual orientation is. I mean, it's fascinating just to have that social interaction with an intelligent